Jansen. Hi, Juleen. What
There.
a wild season for us here in the Jansen household. I had a wonderful time with Melanie Miller at a banquet for the Ashland Pregnancy Care Center.
Mm.
Melanie is an Ohio Care is a representative for the 67th district. And I also met her husband, Matt Miller, who is the mayor for Ashland City, Ohio. Both of them are truth tellers and great civil servants. I've been with my grandgirls and celebrated some big accomplishments, and Ron and I are moving ahead with our big project. But I've also been praying for our listeners. America is infected with the lying bronco. Do you know what that is? It's a bronco that's a wild horse from western North America. It's known for its bucking and very stubborn nature. The horse is used frequently in rodeos, and they are worse than donkeys. The American lying Bronco can't enjoy a sweet article about children without wondering if it's true or if it's a big hoax. You can't believe politicians, high school teachers, or even your neighbor next door. That awful lying Bronco is going to ruin everything. That Bronco bucks back and forth until he throws you to the ground, confused and weary. So I'm going to put on my hat. Let me get it right here. And I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
time for us to go back to the basics and talk about how do you know what is true and what is not. How do you know rodeo? Here we come. If you want to rope a liar, you have to pin him down and strip away every weasel word until you find that tiny little splinter of truth that reveals either the validity of what he said or the lie of his words. Only then can you hang him with the truth buckle and move on with your life. So before we do some bronco busting, Juleen, how was your week?
I'm just mesmerized by that combination of the rhinestones and the sparkle black hat. Wow. That you're giving me some new cowboy fashion goals this week. I am doing so well. This is going to be fun today. Lying Bronco needing to be busted. Okay. It takes me back to the little show that me and my husband every night watch just to unwind called All Creatures Great and Small
Oh
about
yeah, I've seen that one.
I love the animals. You know, I'm an animal lover, and it's like these two couple small town veterinarian fellows during the 1940s in this lush English countryside of Yorkshire, and horses are like one of the vet's specialty, and they're just beautiful animals. So you're getting me in the mood, because I'm already thinking about horses, and I do believe though you're on to something, Deb, today that there is a lot of deception. Deception is at all-time high, and we
Yes.
need these tools to kind of shovel out from all the manure and the what do they call it? Horse pucky or horse chips. There's a lot of that being flown about, but they do say dirt is a cowgirl's glitter, right? So things are gonna get sparkly today. You are sparkling here. And I just have to say, I'm a Washington D.C. girl, so we have been hosting the Royals the last 2 or 3 days, and I love King Charles because he loves his horses. The Royals have their royal guards, and the changing the guard at Buckingham Palace several times a week with those fabulous Windsor Greys and the Cleveland Bays and so forth. So I've just been thinking a lot about animals. So I like this whole theme. So let's hold on to our hats and let's get rolling, Deb.
Okay, Juleen, let's do it. So pretend to put on your cowboy boots, whoever you are out there, and Juleen included. Grab your horse and saddle him with the truth, and let's see if we can wrangle us some liars. If you want to know if someone is telling you the truth, investigate his whole life. Every lie has a trail of sorrows, and you don't want to take your horse down that trail of sorrows. And that trail along the path of his life will allow you to figure out the truth. So go back and do some searching. Don't vote for somebody unless you know what they said 3 years ago when they first started in office, or when they were campaigning. Don't believe everything you hear. Check it out. Do your research. So let's talk about fake smile Mondami. He did everything he could to convince New Yorkers that he would be fair and he would not. He would do the right thing for New York and he would not hurt them. He met with a wide range of New York Jewish leaders, including rabbis and community leaders from various denominations and perspectives, as part of an ongoing outreach effort during his 2025 mayoral campaign. But the fake smile was hiding some lies, and people didn't pay attention to that. New Yorkers didn't put their spurs on and dig deep enough into his past and his core beliefs. Now that they've elected him, he's doing the opposite of what he promised. He's raising taxes, he's destroying the city, and he can't even get the trash picked up. He is proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is ready to load up the Jews that voted for him and send them out to pasture. Well, last week he voted on a bipartisan bill let me back up. Last week he vetoed a partisan bill that was aimed at combating anti-Semitism. Even Cuomo said, and Cuomo's not exactly a conservative, as we all know, but even he said he chooses the whims of his radical, extreme left base over the safety of students and Jewish New Yorkers at a time of rising anti-Semitism. Juleen, where's my horse? Get me my spurs. Let's go.
Woo, Mom Donnie. Is that how you say it? I mean,
Yeah.
his name. I just struggle to even say his name. You've been saying it beautifully, but I have to say, New York City has lost some of its sparkle, and we're just about 3.5 hours from the Big Apple, so we go up there often. But I would say over the last year or so, there's a change, right? And
Yeah.
Mondami just announced 2 days ago that in New York City there is a multi-billion dollar budget gap, and he is now asking for the state of New York to help fill in the gap. And of course, he called it years of mismanagement and under budgeting by previous administrations, never mentioning when you offer free things to people, you definitely go over budget. And of course, Mayor Adams, who was the previous mayor, he slammed immediately back and he said, "What are you talking about? I left him an $8 million reserve, so someone is lying here, Deb." Mom Dami said, "I'm not going back on my campaign promises." So, of course, his solution, like you talked about, is to take away the tax cuts for the rich because they need to pay their fair share. But in the meantime, and I think this is why we're seeing New York City change, some of the city's wealthiest that have probably been the biggest job creators are leaving the city. And so it's starting to feel kind of like that pre-Giuliani New York City in the 1980s when it felt like it was Batman's Gotham City, and we feel it. I like, what did you call him? His fake smile Mom Dami? What did you say?
Well, everybody talked about his smile. I didn't think it was real. I'm sorry.
Well, he was playing nasty about the Royals because the Royals were in New York City yesterday visiting 9/11 sites, and the day before he said, "Well, I'm going to ask him why he still has the crown jewel that they stole from India in the 1800s under Queen Victoria. We deserve that crown jewel back that they stole." Implying that there was racial injustice and he's going to right the wrongs of that crown jewel. But when he saw him yesterday, it was nothing but all smiles and charm. So I don't think so I'm just like, his bark was tough, but I don't think he talked about getting the crown jewel back from India that was stolen because of the rapid British colonization, he called it under Queen Victoria's time. I'm not sure. But he did report, he was proud to say in his first 100-day report a few weeks ago in office that New York is experiencing the lowest crime rates. And I'm like, I think it's because the cops just aren't arresting anyone. So it's not being
See,
documented.
that's the weasel words. Yeah.
Right. And he said all the potholes, 100,000 potholes have been filled. We got free child care. He's now touting city-owned grocery stores that he's going to start up, and he's going to lower rents. Now, President Trump called this 34-year-old young mayor a rising communist star, and he is. But, what he's going to do, and it's inevitable, he's got to raise taxes, right, to fund these expensive programs. And that, when taxes are raised, that is like servitude. That's bondage
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
people that he is, saying he's going to take care of. I will give you all this free stuff. I will take care of you, but you are going to have to give me half of your wages, right? I mean, that is bondage. So we need to be careful, that New Yorkers need to be careful what they're wishing for, because he's not the first person to wrap communism up in a pretty package with a bow on top. And if you don't know your history, maybe you don't know that's not sustainable, and that there is going to be a collapse of some sorts there.
Exactly, exactly. You are so right. And that brings us back to the biggest bronco you will ever face is the weasel stallion. Man, that is a tough dude. Whenever you talk to anyone or when you read a miracle article online that says doing it their way is going to save your life, upgrade your success, make you absolutely beautiful, you can lose 147 pounds in 20 days, and build your success and savings account, you better get your whip and go after the weasel words. I'm telling you, that bronco is bad. So let me explain how you do that. I read an article last week titled Healthy Diets Spark Lung Cancer Risk in Non-Smokers. Well, that kind of piqued my interest, so I gave it a read. And it began, eating a diet high in fruits and vegetables was found to have a surprising link to lung cancer among younger non-smokers. How does this work? I've worked for attorneys and judges where I was required to search legal documents for what they call weasel words. Now, a weasel word is something that you can say that you can't be tied down. So in a contract, if there's a word like maybe, or we will do this if in time, those are weasel words that can break the contract. So in this article that I was reading, it used the word link. And link is a weasel word because it does not mean proof. So I read on, and the article cited a study with a long, impressive name and very important people, but that paragraph ended with, this study made the news, but it has not been peer reviewed. Well, now, it wasn't talking about personal peers. It was talking about other scientists and other medical people. So none of them have even seen it. So wait, this made the news, but peers have not reviewed the study? Something smells like horse manure. I found words like we hypothesize, we believe, it's possible, it may be probable, and then they admitted that only 187 people participated in the study. No one in the scientific or medical community believes in a study with less than 2,500. That's the minimum. And usually a really good study has 10 to 20,000 participants. It gets worse, so hang on to your horse. The article also admitted that their participants were not required to submit documentation or give an account as to how much of the food they ate. So we don't know how much food they're eating. We don't know when they're eating it. We don't know what they're eating. We have no documentation whatsoever. They only use surveys that could not be verified. So you're telling me you're using surveys that could have been fake. You could have gotten 187 people. I'll pay you $10 to do this survey, and you can say whatever you want, but this is the result we want. Well, that's breaking all scientific rules for evidence. Plus, just like I said they could do that, they admitted that the participants were selected by the author, so the findings might be biased.
Wow, I'm surprised they admitted that.
Well, I'm not through yet, Juleen. Hang on. That horse is bucking like crazy, baby. The researchers did not test specific foods for pesticides, or they also did not test the blood or urine samples to make the specific connection between these people are eating this and we found it in their body and it's doing this. They didn't make that connection. And then they said in the last sentence, this study may only show an association. I'm not even sure it does that. My point is, we all need to wake up and read every article like a cowboy going after the wolves. Ask yourself, how do they know that this is true? I'm sorry, Ken, you're going to need to take this out. I'm sorry. How do they know that this is true? Can they honestly prove what they are saying? That same process can be used to determine if our politicians are truthful, if your friends are telling you the truth, if what you're reading online is the truth. Do your research. If you live in a world of lies, lying broncos, running around, kicking up the dirt, all that kind of stuff, you got to dig your spurs in and hunt for the truth. Right, Juleen?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the horse hooey is getting deep, you know. We have to find a way not to get stuck in it, you know, but toss it over and keep moving. I mean, you don't even need to be a doctor or a dietitian or a health nut or anything to know that fruits and vegetables is not the cause for disease or cancer or epidemics. But you know, I just think, are we so gullible and open to what might be being said in the headlines or the media that literally our brains are falling out? You know, just because much of what we accept as common knowledge, it doesn't mean that it's common sense.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing is young people, young adults are starting to realize that, you know, they're tired of being lied to, and we're starting to see a resurgence of young adults to faith and religion. They're tired of being told that, oh yes, a man can have a baby, or if you're a woman, you can become a man, or all the repercussions of the fluid sexual identities and being furries and killing unborn children, that anything goes is not feeling so nourishing and satisfying to their soul. I saw a headline the other day that said the hottest club in New York City is the Catholic Church. That young people are meeting up for pizza and then going to church together. They're calling it pizza and pews, and there's lines out the doors to these churches in New York City. And I'm seeing this in Washington, D.C. I've told you, my husband and I work with 8 congregations throughout the entire city of Washington, D.C., of young single adults, you know, trying to foster a close relationship with God and to make friends with similar values. And we see these young people searching for God, coming into the church, getting baptized, getting married in churches and temples, and desiring, you know, more of these traditional biblical values. And it's exciting because young people have realized we've been sold a bill of goods. We've been deep in the manure and we haven't even known it yet. And we're tired of being duped.
I agree 100%. And oh, isn't it wonderful that people are waking up? People are getting on their horses and digging in their spurs. That is phenomenal. Well, I want to go a little deeper into this in our Just the Facts program. So we have started Just the Facts, and we're going to get those out as quickly as we can. They will be little short topics that Juleen will say something about, I'll say something about, and then it's over with. So we have to work really hard to take these motor mouths and get them under 10 minutes, right, Juleen?
That's going to be a
Any-
challenge.
Anyway, I want to hit the trail with folks who are protesting against anything without knowing the true fact, like making Iran give up their nuclear possibilities. So many people are out protesting against that and saying that we don't have the right to say anything about them or do anything. They're even getting so wild in their protesting that it's become violent in some spots. And here's what I want to ask them. Don't you know any history? They have these people that are protesting, they have the right to their opinions, but they prove that they don't know what they're talking about. Iran has threatened America and other countries for 47 years. If you don't do what we want, we're going to blow you up. We're going to take you down. They have kidnapped and killed people. They have stolen from and terrorized America for 47 years. They've bombed our military, kidnapped and killed our workers, and attacked us here in America and everywhere else around the world. It's just time to stop the madness. The real Bronco that needs to be busted is the idea that everyone is allowed to be as evil as they want to be. No, that's a lie. You cannot build a society when people are okay to go out and murder anybody they want or rape 3 years olds or kill elderly grandparents. No, if you're evil, you need to be stopped. That's a big get off my farm lie. When a person does horrible acts, they are not good for anyone, not good for their own kind, not good for the country, and not good for the world. For example, people who believe that Hamas remain to be good people and shouldn't have had a war against them because they're beautiful people, they didn't pay attention to when those people, those Hamas men, put Jewish babies in ovens and burn them to death. Sorry, you don't get a pass on that. No, let's take my horse and rope you and put you where you need to be. The men who did that are a waste of skin, as far as I'm concerned. If you believe they are good, your cowboy hat is too tight and it is on backwards.
I'm, I'm liking all this cowboy slang and lingo today.
Well, I'm having fun with it too.
I mean, somehow you can even make the most distasteful Hamas kind of more palatable in cowboy terms. But that's just it, Deb. We have to know our history, or we're going to be deceived by the headlines and people wanting to take over America. I study every single day. I take a class every week. Just took it last night online every Wednesday from the Thomas Jefferson Center. We're studying the Middle East and European history. And last night we talked about the formation of the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, in the 1960s, and how Yasser Arafat, is that a name that sounds familiar? Yasser
Yeah.
Arafat headed it up for decades, and how during the war in the 1960s, Israeli wanted a peace treaty with the Palestinians that were living there. They wanted to live peacefully with those Palestinians. But Yasser Arafat turned out to be a fraud because he was taking funds from the Soviets to continue to stir and promote Arab interest in Israel. So they weren't interested in signing any kind of peace agreement. So Hamas used to be the peaceful wing of the PLO, and now we know, along with the jihadists, they're just these radical elements of the PLO, and now they're one of the most important allies, along with the Hezbollah, the militant terrorists in Lebanon. The Hamas and Hezbollah are the strongest allies to Iran right now in the war. But when those Palestinians were fleeing Israel in the 1960s, the surrounding Arab countries did them wrong. Their own people, the Arabs, betrayed them because they put the Palestinians in concentration camps. And they're still, some of them still 80 years into it, are still in these camps. And so, this first generation of Palestinians knew what was going on, that Israel wanted a peace treaty. They wanted the Palestinians to live peacefully. But, the modern generations for now centuries, not centuries, decades, excuse me, have been told these false stories to hate Israel, that Israel drove them from their homes and confiscated their lands. And so, you listen enough to this propaganda scenarios that play out, and you can control people through the lies. And same with America, right? With the critical race theories that have been teaching our children the last, I don't know, decade or probably even longer. And President Trump is rooting that out, that anti-American curriculum, and talking about our founders as racist, hypocrite, bigots, all the words. And so when you know the real history, you cannot be manipulated and stirred up and used as pawns to, incite violence and riots, and to turn over countries that these people that have ill intent. The Yasser Arafats, the Soviet Union that was backing, and even those entities, those master planners that want to fundamentally change America as well. And so you just have to be constantly studying, right? I take my little book. Where's my little book? It's on my table here last night. And I go through, that's the wrong one. I have so many books on my table. But, I just think we can't ever ease up. We have to keep studying, because otherwise, the enemies of freedom and morality and justice, will tell you these little lies, and they'll sound so good and they'll sound sophisticated, and you'll start to believe them unless you're actively going to the true source of knowledge, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I love that. I love that you continue to study. I love that, I'm surrounded by about 2,000 books here and another 2,000 in the basement, and I'm reading all the time. I pulled out a book the other day and I went, whoa, that's the answer to this problem. I'm going to go in that direction. So we have to stay diligent in learning. There is no expiration date on learning, and we need to teach our young people. This is what you need to do to avoid problems, because it's not just lying. There are all forms of lying. There is lying, deception, cheating, misleading somebody. You have to consider all of that. And any of that, all of those kind of lies are going to hurt people. They're going to destroy things, destroy businesses, and destroy countries. And we need to have the truth. You always need to have the truth. Oh, Juleen, I think we need to do a whole nother section on this bronco busting. What do you think?
I mean, all I know is someone said all it takes to be a cowgirl is you have to have guts and you have to have a horse. And John Wayne said, courage is being scared to death, but you saddle up anyways. And so I'm like, yeah, look, Deb, holy cow, I found my hat.
All
I gotta
right.
get my hat, I gotta get my little lasso, and get my cowgirl attitude and pioneer spirit. Hold on tight, because I think this rodeo is just getting started.
Oh, yes, let's do this again, baby. Let's do this again. Well, Juleen, thanks for joining me in this How Do You Know rodeo. This has been a great discussion, and the only thing missing would be if we had Senator John Kennedy join us. I think he could come up with some quips about it, don't you?
I think so.
Well, you look great in your hat. For our listeners, subscribe to this podcast and join us again. You can ask a question or request that we dig into a specific topic by writing Debbie at debbiejansen.com. And thanks again to our wonderful producer who puts up with us all the time. That's Ken Jansen. His company is Downpour. If you need anything, you need to call Ken Jansen. And this is Debbie Jansen, and I'm sticking to the truth on my horse and with my spurs.
And I'm Juleen Jackson, and we hope that you will keep sticking to the truth with us. Deb, let's get riding. Come on. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go. See ya.